Now, I chose photography simply because I thought it was a medium that was incredibly fascinating, and I've never stopped being intrigued by it, being fascinated by it. The process is magic. I know that almost every photograph I've ever taken has been an attempt to bridge how I feel about what I'm looking at outside, or a feeling that I have inside that I try to find an analogy with outside, and then use art as a bridge to connect those two. And my lifelong journey in art and photography has been to exactly and perfectly, succinctly connect those two worlds. The thing is, you never will. I never will. But what keeps you going is that endless search to find that connection with you and that outside world. And even though you may never completely grasp it, every now and then you'll make a photograph that comes very close to having a resonance with you inside about how you feel about yourself, about how you feel about the world, and you've used some of the world to make that happen. I'm also in love with the process of photography. It's something about the performance of working with a camera and of something coming from that. It's sort of an alchemy where you transmute the outside world into something different through the process of a camera. But I think that's one of the reasons why I like it so much, because it's an abstraction of what the world is out there, and it's something much more personal and deeply felt. And it's something that every now and then I say to myself, oh, well, I don't want to do anymore. I've had enough. That's usually at the end of a long exhibition. And then after a few weeks, I'm out there with my camera again. It's an addiction that I can't get any control of. But it's a wonderful addiction. Now, I chose photography simply because I thought it was a medium that was incredibly fascinating, and I've never stopped being intrigued by it, being fascinated by it. The process is magic. I know that almost every photograph I've ever taken has been an attempt to bridge how I feel about what I'm looking at outside, or a feeling that I have inside that I try to find an analogy with outside, and then use art as a bridge to connect those two. And my lifelong journey in art and photography has been to exactly and perfectly, succinctly connect those two worlds. The thing is, you never will. I never will. But what keeps you going is that endless search to find that connection with you and that outside world. And even though you know you may never completely grasp it, every now and then you'll make a photograph that comes very close to having a resonance with you inside about how you feel about yourself, about how you feel about the world, and you've used some of the world to make that happen. I'm also in love with the process of photography. It's something about the performance of working with a camera and of something coming from that. It's sort of an alchemy where you transmute the outside world into something different through the process of a camera. But I think that's one of the reasons why I like it so much, because it's an abstraction of what the world is out there, and it's something much more personal and deeply felt. And it's something that every now and then I say to myself, oh, well, I don't want to do anymore. I've had enough. That's usually at the end of a long exhibition. And then after a few weeks, I'm out there with my camera again. It's an addiction that I can't get any control of. But it's a wonderful addiction. Now, I chose photography simply because I thought it was a medium that was incredibly fascinating, and I've never stopped being intrigued by it, being fascinated by it. The process is magic. I know that almost every photograph I've ever taken has been an attempt to bridge how I feel about what I'm looking at outside, or a feeling that I have inside that I try to find an analogy with outside, and then use art as a bridge to connect those two. And my lifelong journey in art and photography has been to exactly and perfectly, succinctly connect those two worlds. The thing is, you never will. I never will. But what keeps you going is that endless search to find that connection with you and that outside world. And even though you know you may never completely grasp it, every now and then you'll make a photograph that comes very close to having a resonance with you inside about how you feel about yourself, about how you feel about the world, and you've used some of the world to make that happen. I'm also in love with the process of photography. It's something about the performance of working with a camera and of something coming from that. It's sort of an alchemy where you transmute the outside world into something different through the process of a camera. But I think that's one of the reasons why I like it so much, because it's an abstraction of what the world is out there, and it's something much more personal and deeply felt. And it's something that every now and then I say to myself, oh, well, I don't want to do anymore. I've had enough. That's usually at the end of a long exhibition. And then after a few weeks, I'm out there with my camera again. It's an addiction that I can't get any control of. But it's a wonderful addiction. Now, I chose photography simply because I thought it was a medium that was incredibly fascinating, and I've never stopped being intrigued by it, being fascinated by it. The process is magic. I know that almost every photograph I've ever taken has been an attempt to bridge how I feel about what I'm looking at outside, or a feeling that I have inside that I try to find an analogy with outside, and then use art as a bridge to connect those two. And my lifelong journey in art and photography has been to exactly and perfectly, succinctly connect those two worlds. The thing is, you never will. I never will. But what keeps you going is that endless search to find that connection with you and that outside world. And even though you may never completely grasp it, every now and then you'll make a photograph that comes very close to having a resonance with you inside about how you feel about yourself, about how you feel about the world, and you've used some of the world to make that happen. I'm also in love with the process of photography. It's something about the performance of working with a camera and of something coming from that. It's sort of an alchemy where you transmute the outside world into something different through the process of a camera. But I think that's one of the reasons why I like it so much, because it's an abstraction of what the world is out there, and it's something much more personal and deeply felt. And it's something that every now and then I say to myself, oh, well, I don't want to do anymore. I've had enough. That's usually at the end of a long exhibition. And then after a few weeks, I'm out there with my camera again. It's an addiction that I can't get any control of. But it's a wonderful addiction. Now, I chose photography simply because I thought it was a medium that was incredibly fascinating, and I've never stopped being intrigued by it, being fascinated by it. The process is magic. I know that almost every photograph I've ever taken has been an attempt to bridge how I feel about what I'm looking at outside, or a feeling that I have inside that I try to find an analogy with outside, and then use art as a bridge to connect those two. And my lifelong journey in art and photography has been to exactly and perfectly, succinctly connect those two worlds. The thing is, you never will. I never will. But what keeps you going is that endless search to find that connection with you and that outside world. And even though you know you may never completely grasp it, every now and then you'll make a photograph that comes very close to having a resonance with you inside about how you feel about yourself, about how you feel about the world. And you've used some of the world to make that happen. I'm also in love with the process of photography. It's something about the performance of working with a camera and of something coming from that. It's sort of an alchemy where you transmute the outside world into something different through the process of a camera. But I think that's one of the reasons why I like it so much, because it's an abstraction of what the world is out there, and it's something much more personal and deeply felt. And it's something that every now and then I say to myself, oh, well, I don't want to do anymore. I've had enough. That's usually at the end of a long exhibition. And then after a few weeks, I'm out there with my camera again. It's an addiction that I can't get any control of. But it's a wonderful addiction. Now, I chose photography simply because I thought it was a medium that was incredibly fascinating, and I've never stopped being intrigued by it, being fascinated by it. The process is magic. I know that almost every photograph I've ever taken has been an attempt to bridge how I feel about what I'm looking at outside, or a feeling that I have inside that I try to find an analogy with outside, and then use art as a bridge to connect those two. And my lifelong journey in art and photography has been to exactly and perfectly, succinctly connect those two worlds. The thing is, you never will. I never will. But what keeps you going is that endless search to find that connection with you and that outside world. And even though you know you may never completely grasp it, every now and then you'll make a photograph that comes very close to having a resonance with you inside about how you feel about yourself, about how you feel about the world, and you've used some of the world to make that happen. I'm also in love with the process of photography. It's something about the performance of working with a camera and of something coming from that. It's sort of an alchemy where you transmute the outside world into something different through the process of a camera. But I think that's one of the reasons why I like it so much, because it's an abstraction of what the world is out there, and it's something much more personal and deeply felt. And it's something that every now and then I say to myself, oh, well, I don't want to do anymore. I've had enough. That's usually at the end of a long exhibition. And then after a few weeks, I'm out there with my camera again. It's an addiction that I can't get any control of. But it's a wonderful addiction. Now, I chose photography simply because I thought it was a medium that was
wedding or civil union. The only exception is for cultural differences where the wedding runs over consecutive days. Entries into the wedding category will be judged broadly based on content, impact, and professional quality. Very high standards of traditional wedding styles should be duly recognised, as should images that reflect the highest level of contemporary market expectations. The judges should also consider the entries in the light of the category. Is the entry a great example of wedding photography? Images that are more interpretive or contemporary in nature may be entered into illustrative. The wedding category will be judged in two sections, wedding open and wedding single capture. With single capture, which is what we are starting off with this morning, their entries may utilise all post-production, excluding the addition of any new elements to the original capture. This includes borders and textures. There may be some photojournalistic images. Although the category is judged in two sections, there is only one award. There is only one wedding photographer of the year. Everyone clear on that? Awesome. That was them. So in our front seats this morning, we have Vicky Bell. Pick up your mic, Vicky, and give us a bit of an intro about yourself.
I'm very excited to.
I think you're in good company here. There might be some photographers you can pick out. James Simmons, welcome over from Perth.
Good morning, team. I like craft beer. I like to brew craft beer, and I also like bulldog puppies.
Oh yeah, they're pretty cute. Yeah, got it. Katie Collenberg is here from the ACT. Hello, everybody. Hello. You've got a lovely red ribbon there with a little gold bar on it.
Yep, one little gold bar. Still got my threads attached to the back there.
The red ribbon, for anyone who's walking around, is a master of photography. Takes a few years to get one of those. It's pretty nifty. Steve Scalone, welcome.
Hello. I also enjoy craft beer. Long walks on the beach.
You also have a red ribbon.
I also do have
Yes.
a red ribbon, yeah.
Lovely. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And Annie Payne, here from Sydney.
Hello, everybody. I also have a red ribbon, which I left at home.
Well, you've got a blue necklace, so do we balance that out somehow? Thank you very much, judges. Okay, now I think we are ready out the back. Let's begin with the first print, please. By majority, this print scores 79 and will be reviewed at the end of the category. We're going to be getting feedback from all our judges on every print. So, Annie, you were on that final score. Can you give us some comments about this one?
Yeah, I think this is a great example of strong professional standard that I would expect from a professional wedding photographer. It's great, done technically very well.
Thank you very much, Annie. Next print, please. This print scores 81, a silver award. Katie, could you give us a comment about this one?
Yeah, this is a beautiful, striking image. Great use of location and light on behalf of the photographer. Yeah, really liked it.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. This print scores 79 and will be reviewed. James, you want to make a comment?
Beautiful moment. You know, this is really the essence of what we're there to do, is to capture that emotion. If it could be tied in with a little more control of, you know, background and composition, this would be way, way stronger.
Thank you, James. Can we just have a blank screen for a moment, please? By majority, this print scores 84, silver award. Annie, you were on the average again on this one.
Yeah, this is a really interesting composition. I've given it 84 for really strong silver. It's challenging to look at, and your eye is drawn around and taken to many different places. And yeah, I think that's a great strength to the photographer for being brave with that.
Thanks, Annie. So for the audience, that was an average score of 85, but because we had 3 judges below that score, we go with the 84 majority as the final score. But it will be reviewed at the end of the category. Next print, please. By majority, this print scores 84, silver award. Steve, let's have some words from you.
I love the graphic nature of this image. That really had strong impact. Perhaps just re-look at some post-production techniques.
Thanks, Steve. That will be reviewed at the end of the category as well. Next print, please. This print scores 76. James, you were on that average score.
Yeah, nice and soft, good use of light. I think have a look at some of the posing. At the crossing the arms is probably not as dynamic or as fluid as it needs to be to get into the silver range.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. This print scores 78. Vicky, you were on 78.
Beautifully printed. For me, it was quite stagnant in the posing, so just a little bit more sort of just natural and organic, and that little fleck of yellow on the sky perhaps to blend in so your eye doesn't flicker to it too much, but otherwise beautiful.
Thanks, Vicky. Next print, please. This print scores 83, a silver award. Steve, you were on 83. Give us some comments about this print.
Yet again, the composition I feel is great. The connections there, that captured that decisive moment beautifully with the couple.
Thanks, Steve. Next print, please. This print scores 84, silver award. And will be reviewed. Katie, you're on 83, not far away. There are a couple of anything that this photographer can do to take it a couple of points higher for you?
Yeah, I'm wondering about the cropping perhaps there's a bit too much foreground. I think it's been beautifully handled, treatment and lighting, and beautiful use of a location as well.
Thanks, Katie. Next print, please. This print scores 73. James, you're on 73.
Yeah, it's good fun. You know, good fun, good play. I think the use of light in this scenario could have been done a little better. I'm just looking at that beautiful golden light in the background, and oh my god, it looks like it's just a metre or two behind them. Yeah, they're getting the reflected soft light from the sky, which is blue, and it's sending a colour cast through the whole image basically. So some post-production technique, and maybe look at the use of light.
Awesome, thank you, James. Next print, please. This print scores 80, silver award. But James is going to challenge it. He's on 85. Let's see what you've got to work with here. James, you've got an 81, 80 and a couple of 78s.
And sitters. Look, the print is just such an amazing quality that you can't help but be seduced by the way that it's been composed, those lovely curves, and just the delicate nature of the way that it's been handled. It's just superb. This is not normal stuff. It's been meticulously lit, even though it has a very stagnant sort of construct. It suits it. It's a soft, quiet moment. It is still. But it's perfectly framed. Like the way that's been set up there is some master kind of technique working. I would have loved to seen a bit more, range in the bride's pose perhaps, just to give her a little bit more shape. But I think everything else, that's why it's not a strong silver distinction. I think 80 is just a bit shy on this, guys. I think we could probably get a few more points.
Katie was a couple under on 78.
I see a beautifully posed photograph. When it first turned around, I thought I was looking forward to getting up close. But when I got up close, I can see some technical issues around the bottom of the dress and some of the sharp lines. There's kind of a fuzzy quality to some of them. I don't know if it's a post-production issue. Some sharp, some not sharp, and that really bothered me. And I also think with such an opportunity to set your shot up like this seems to be, moving the candelabra might have been a good idea. I find that really distracting, and the folds in the dress so it's just they're little things, but they just kept it out of the out of the award range for me. So I'm finding it hard to reconcile those.
Thanks, Katie. Annie, you were on the average at 80.
Yeah, I thought it was a really great use of location. It's a beautiful spot, and the composition is well thought through. It was actually the bride's expression that held me back from going past the silver. I felt that she didn't kind of match, that her expression didn't kind of match the beauty of the rest of it. So, that's where I sat.
Your right of reply, James.
Yeah, I don't really have much more to add. It is what it is, and those things are evident. So, thanks for bringing them to my attention. For me, they didn't distract. I think, it's still a very delicious print. So I think, Maybe a couple over 80, perhaps. You know.
So our average score is 80. James is locked in at 85. Everyone else can rescore. Steve, I don't have yours yet. Print scores 82. Good solid silver. And next print, please. This print scores 75. Annie, you were on 75.
Yeah, I think that the concept of this image is fantastic. There's a lot of storytelling going on in here at the moment of before walking down the aisle, and all the angst and the expression in the eyes of all of the family members. So I think that idea is fantastic. The execution, unfortunately, was let down by a few of the techniques in there. So, yeah, that's why I think it sits where it is.
Thanks, Annie. Let's do a judge change. Thank you, James. Have a quick rest and we will bring on Milton again. Come aboard. While Milton makes his way up, we will have the next print, please. This print scores 77. And Steve, you're on 77. Is there anything the author can do to take it a couple of points higher for you?
Yeah, it's a beautiful family moment, and the actual family will love this image. Perhaps a different choice of camera angle, camera perspective, and perhaps even more of that decisive moment could be improved.
Thanks, Steve. Next print, please. This print scores 82, a silver award. Katie, could we get a comment from you, please? You were in the middle of silver on 83.
Yeah, this is a really unique perspective and beautiful to look at. I think there's a slight sort of adjustment that could be done to the lines to make it a little bit more even. It just, I don't know if it's playing tricks on our eyes. It just looks like it's tilted slightly, and I think when something's so graphic, it needs to be a bit more perfect. And also just a little bit of work around the groom to help him stand out a little bit more, I think would really bring the score up a bit higher.
Thanks, Katie. Next print, please. This print scores 81, silver award. Milton, you were next to that average score. You were right on 80. What could bring it into a solid silver for you, perhaps?
I thought it was it's a fabulous print. The posing of the bride is really strong, and it's obviously really nice with the parents in the mirror as well. I'm not too sure how it could go up high, because the photographer was always obviously making best use of the space that they had and the light that they had. But it's still in the award standard, so it's done well.
Thanks, Milton. Next print, please. This print scores 79 and will be reviewed at the end of the category. Milton, you were on 79.
Yeah, it's a really nice sequence, a nice time of the evening. There's a lot of fun going on. I think what would have pushed it into the award range if one of those frames had actually captured the cork popping out. Yeah, that would have been the decisive moment of that sequence.
Thanks, Milton. Next print, please. This print scores 78. Annie, you're on 78.
Yeah, I think that the photographer has really put a lot of effort into finding angles and an interesting composition here as well. I wasn't sure about the posing of the bride's arm. I kind of feel like brides are often, or people are often sensitive about their arms, so I was drawn into that. And also the lighting and the around them is quite full on, so a little bit distracting as well.
Thanks, Annie. Next print, please. This print scores 79 and will be reviewed at the end of the category. Let's see. Vicky, you were on 77, a couple away from that.
I'm curiously trying to read into the story. Perhaps, he's gone to his granddaughter's wedding in Spain. I just find the angle, the point of view quite distorting of his hand, and I'd love to have seen the moments maybe later on where the focus was actually on his amazing face and features. So just to hold it together to create that story more. But it would have been a great wedding.
Thanks, Vicky. Going to do a judge change. Thank you, Steve. And welcome Ryan Shembry. Thanks, Ryan. Welcome to the panel. Next print, please. This print scores 83, Silver Award, but Annie's going to challenge it before we get too excited about it. Annie's on 88. Now there's an 84, 83, 82 and a 78 for you, Annie.
Yeah, I really enjoy this image. It's something new for me. I haven't quite seen this concept done this way before, and I think, it's really beautifully done. I love the colour tones that are incorporated into it, and the shadows, and not just the silhouettes of them, but actually the beautiful little shapes in there, and the joy, and it's really got a storybook feel to it. And I think it's definitely in the silver distinction range.
Thanks, Annie. Vicky, you were on 78.
I love the idea. It's just, really captivating. However, I feel technically it was let down with the shadows feel contaminated with the yellow too much. I felt like I wanted to define the bodies more so they weren't so clumped together. And also, the lighting on their faces was, extremely yellow. So it was just sort of holding me back design-wise and graphically, because they, especially with the shadows being so clumped up. But, so worth revisiting again and another opportunity. But congratulations.
Ryan, you were just a step below distinction at 84.
Yeah, I'm pretty comfy where I am, to be completely honest. I think great concept, really well executed. It's a fraction soft on them, and that's just where it held me back from that distinction point. I think I just want that clarity in them, that sharpness in them to come through.
Annie, your right of reply.
Yeah, I think that even with those issues that have been mentioned, that it's still higher than a standard silver. I feel like there's extra content that's been given creatively into this image, and I quite like their expressions and the lighting. That kind of makes it feel very real to me, and also the silhouettes. There's a real genuine kind of feel about that, and even seeing the champagne in there. So yeah, it does it for me.
Our average score is 83 and he holds an 88, but everyone else can rescore. Print now scores 85, a silver with distinction. Next print, please. This print scores 79 and will be reviewed at the end of the category. Before then, Katie, you were on 78.
Look, this is a great use of light. It's bold. It's often not what we do, and I applaud that. I just think they're a little bit hot, and the photographer does have control or could have control over that. So yeah, something to work on.
Thanks, Katie. Next print, please. This print scores 77. Would you like to challenge? Yes. Okay, good. Excellent. Thank you, Annie. And he's on 84. Then we've got a wide range of scores from 81 down to 65. Hang on, sorry. On that point, we've actually got an automatic challenge. That's why it's not coming up on your screen. Sorry about that. So we've got an automatic challenge here to the negative. So we will go to Ryan to start with, and then we will work our way through the judges. There will be no right of reply.
I think I was listening. It's an auto challenge on my end.
Auto challenge,
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You're first to speak, Ryan.
Okay, so I guess I'm justifying 65. For me, it's actually something that I have seen quite a bit in the past. I just don't feel like execution-wise it's been handled very well at all. In terms of, yes, we're seeing that silhouette, we're seeing that very blocky black and white, but I feel for it to really work, there needed to be separation, especially when it came to the main gentleman's right hand coming into the head and the hat. If I had more separation, if I had more sort of shape and structure, I think I could have gone somewhere with it. Whether or not I was going to award it, probably different story. But I feel that we really need to just take a step back, look at execution here, look at print quality, look at the actual post-production technique here as well. And if I think back, I'm now vividly remembering images that have done in a very, very similar concept to this, so that are done at a much higher level. So.
Thanks, Ryan. Let's go to Milton. You were just one step away from silver at 79.
Yeah, I totally understand what Ryan's saying about the post-production techniques, and also because it's silhouette, there's a lot of detail lost as well, and that's what held me back from going into the award range. But I still really enjoyed the graphic nature of it. I still felt that I could sense the personalities coming out, especially the guy who's adjusting his friend's hat. So I enjoyed it for that reason. But yeah, probably more the post-production techniques kept me out of going into the award range.
Thank you, Milton. Now, Annie, I'll come to you, though you weren't alone because Katie was also an 81, but we'll come to you, Annie, for your comment. You an 84?
Yeah, I like what Milton's saying about the personalities. I think that that's what took this into the silver range for me. I feel like it's not just about, I mean, it's obviously about the shapes and the black and the white and the very striking kind of impact that the photographer has presented to us. But then there's another level where there actually is a realness about it, and it doesn't feel like it's staged, even though it's such a constructed image. So that's what I liked about it. And the expressions on the characters in there do have a realness about them as well.
Okay, so this is an automatic challenge, so everyone has the opportunity to change their scores if they wish. Our average score sits at 77 currently. Please rescore. Print is now 78, so it's gained a point. Next print, please. This print scores 83, a silver award. Vicky's going to challenge though. Vicky's at 88. We've also got James on 87, so he's in the distinction range as well. Then there's an 83, 82, and a 77. Go for it, Vicky.
Oh, so much impact when the image turned around, and I'm reminding myself that this is actually single capture. So, wow, I mean, the sophistication in the whole rendering of this magical light is incredible. It's quite breathtaking. The printing is immaculate. The concept is divine. I remember that such a wind tunnel in that little avenue. I know those beach boxes, and it's just like this little moment where the wind is just, you can just see her expression is kind of completely, she's in a cyclone. It's got expression and it's got emotion just in the way the veil is, flying everywhere. And we've even got the birds that kind of echo the whole nature of the beach and the flight. And it has to come up to silver distinction, guys. Like, it's only a couple points. This is just incredible craftsmanship, beautiful management of lighting. This is highly sophisticated image creation and magic in a single capture. It's phenomenal.
Annie, you were on 77.
Yeah, I really love the concept and I really love the composition. But unfortunately, when I came to the right-hand side where the couple are, I really struggled to actually see them in there. And I felt like that had been badly handled, to be honest. I felt like that changed the harmony of what the image was all about. So that's why I am at 77.
James, you'd like to speak? Yes, you're in distinction, 87.
Yeah, I think when you're confronted with a really amazing image, sometimes we tend to be a little bit harder on them and expect more from them. But this is a freak show image. Like, seriously, it's pretty full on. Like, it's so graphic. The moment in there, like, I don't mind that they're veiled. You still see their silhouettes, and you can see a genuine laugh and emotion coming from the bride. So that for me is there. You know, if they were entangled, you know, arm in arm, you wouldn't get that separation because it is a little hard to see them through the veil. And I was kind of looking at, you know, the white paint on the beach boxes and going, okay, what are they? And then I realised, oh, they're little paintings of birds, and see the seagull in the sky. So you've got that mirroring, and it really gives it a sense of place. Because I'm not from Melbourne, I didn't know they were beach boxes, but you know, that painting and the seagull puts it at a beach somewhere. So the connection's all there, and there's a really good reason why they're all there. And you know, the lighting's mental. It's a freak show. I'm not sure why I didn't go higher, to be honest.
Vicky, you've got a right to reply.
Look, James has said it all. This is just you know, immaculate lighting and craftsmanship, and you know, there's emotion just in almost like a abstracted still life. Almost, it's an abstraction of the bride and groom enveloped in the wind tunnel. It's all been said. Thanks, James. You said it perfectly. Let's bring it up.
So our average score is 83. Vicky has an 88. Everyone else can rescore. $86, a silver with distinction. Thanks, James, for stepping in there. Next print, please. This print scores 79 and will be reviewed at the end of the category. Katie, you were on 78.
This is just a really great example of well-seen photojournalistic wedding capture. I'm not sure there's really much I could say to sort of improve it. I think it's been really well done.
Thanks, Katie. Next print, please. This print scores 77. Vicky, can we have a comment from you, please?
Amazing setting. I love symmetry, and I feel like I want to put the bride and the groom right in the centre to give me that sort of harmony, and maybe just the way he's grabbing onto her neck feels very uncomfortable. So just readdressing the tenderness in the hand gestures and posing. But beautiful capture.
Thank you very much. Next print, please. This print scores 76. Let's go to Katie. You were on 75.
Oh, I'm probably going to sound like a broken record. Again, I think this is what we do as wedding photographers. We need to be in the right place at the right time and capture real moments. And this is a great family moment that I'm sure the family would love. In terms of improvement, the first thing I'd probably do is just crop the bottom of the shot off. It's a little distracting seeing the floor on the other side of the rug. That's probably all I can add at this stage.
Thanks, Katie. Going to do a judge change, and thank you, Katie. You can step back for a bit. And Yovant, come join us. Welcome to the panel. Next print, please. This print scores 77. Milton's going to challenge. He's on 82. So we've got 3 77s and a 73 for you to work on.
Well, I definitely think this sits in the award range. I mean, for a single capture, it's a beautiful moment captured. You look at the expressions on the bridesmaids as they see the bride for the first time. And when you look at the dad at the top, you can just see the pride, the excitement. You know, this is his little girl, all grown up now, heading off her big day. And I think that positioning of him at the top is really strong as well. You know, he's the patriarch, he's in control, but I think he's sort of barely trying to control his emotions at this stage. I think it's a wonderful moment, and I think it definitely deserves a silver award.
Ryan, you were on 73.
Yeah, with you with the moment. I think it's a really lovely moment, something that happens very often at weddings. I just feel that maybe the photographer's control over this image is lacking a little bit in terms of A, focus, B, in terms of maybe an aperture selection, because we get quite a bit of fall off when we get to dad himself. And then it's been worked in a way where we get down to the girls at the very bottom, where they've been brought up so much that we've introduced a lot of noise. So I don't know if that's so much a printing problem, but probably an exposure problem mixed with a bit of post-production technique that needs to be worked on there.
Yovant, you were on the average at 77.
Yeah, the first thing I saw was the bride at the foreground, and she's really out of focus. She's the main person. That's where your eye goes first, and that's the distraction. The minute I saw her, the picture didn't count for me, so it's important to have the foreground more interesting.
Thank you. Milton, your right of reply.
Thanks for your comments, gents. Totally take on board all the technical issues in the image. But I think when you think about the fact it is single capture, you know, there's movement happening. Photographers probably a bit excited as well. They've got to control themselves, angle themselves. It could have been a bit darker in there, and that might have been why, you know, they had to shoot a bit wider open, and so they couldn't get everything in focus. But I think just for the moment captured, I think it's still a strong composition as well, where you've got those two different viewpoints of the bride, the dad looking down at her, and the just excitement on the bridesmaids' faces. I think it warrants an award. Thank you.
So our average score is 77. Milton holds an 82. Everyone else can rescore. Print is now 78. Thanks, judges. Next print, please. This print scores 77. Ryan, you were on the average there.
Yeah, I think a really beautifully moment scene, which I would expect in that professional range. I would love depth-wise here, maybe going a little bit longer, just to really bring them central focus into it. So, yeah.
Thanks, Ryan. Next print, please. By majority, we have a score of 84, silver award. I think you'd better, Jovan. You're on 92. With the mic, yep.
This is the best print I've seen all day now. It's very well done, very well presented. It's a very challenging print, the way they've brought the details out. It's just a beautiful picture. The triangles coming out, the details, it's just the reflection. If this is a single capture, it's amazing. I've gone gold, and it should be a gold print, guys.
Ryan, you had it as 82.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I think we need to, don't get too excited. Best print so far, I know, but still, let's look at the print. I think everything you said is why, for me, it's 82. The thing that misses for me to go silver distinction, to go gold, is just that little connection. I find him to be the most intriguing character, and it's great that he's the first point of focus. She's a little soft, which I don't mind, but her disengagement with him and the energy to the print is where I struggle with it to go into that range. If you can answer that for me, I'll come with you.
Vicky first. Vicky, you are in silver distinction at 88.
Yeah, I'm loving the abstraction and incredible single capture moment. I think slightly in agreement with Ryan in regards to her disconnect. Perhaps, it was a moment afterwards where she was looking at him. It just give me that extra bit of magic to amplify that romance. But striking, beautifully crafted image.
Yeah, you're right of reply.
Guys, I agree, but wedding photography these days is not only about connection, it's the power of the picture. And yes, she's disconnected, but it's not about her. Not always it's about the girl. This man is looking amazing. She's the shadow behind him. It's just a beautiful, pleasant picture to watch. I would like to have this in my studio. I know I can't use it, but it's a beautiful picture. It's a beautiful picture. This will sell.
So we had an average score of 86, but a majority 84, because 3 of you were in the 80 range, low 80s. Jovan has a 92. Everyone else can rescore. Gold at 90 by majority. Next print, please. Okay, this print scores 83. However, we have an automatic challenge triggered to the negative from 70. So we've got 2 judges in the 90s, 2 in the low 80s, and then our 70. So let's kick off with you, Ryan. let's go to you first anyway. You can explain your position, and we will move up from there. There's no right of reply.
Okay. This is really hard. It's quite difficult when you're starting something on the negative foot. So maybe just explain what I see and maybe try and justify it in some way, shape, or form. I can see maybe what we're being seduced by. It's a central figure. It's very graphic. I can't connect it. I know you're going to tell me it's a flower girl. She's off doing something at a reception. You're going to come up with some story for me. It's going to be amazing, I'm sure. The connection point for me, like I get, there's too many flaws in this for me. I know it's backlit, but we have such capabilities in cameras these days that I can't get past the noise. I can't get past the grain. I can't get past that we've tried to bring a figure up that should be a silhouette. I love that we see the legs. I know you're going to tell me about that. I'm getting everything out now, so you can't tell me it later. Yep. You have to bring something new to this conversation. So, bring something new, bring an amazing story, bring me something like that isn't dancing, whimsical. Bring me something that connects me to a wedding, and I'll go with you.
Milton, you were right next to the average on 82.
Yeah, I don't think that there is a huge story to be told here, but I found the image intriguing. I found it enchanting. You know, it is a flower girl, and she's having a lovely time spinning around. And I think that's what really came through. And I don't think it's maybe the intention was to actually produce a silhouette as such. I mean, the backlighting helps to obviously sort of make her figure a bit more distinguished. But you know, I like the fact I can see the expression on her face. You know, she seems sort of lost in the moment, and I actually quite like. At first, you know, I thought there's a lot of noise in the image, but or grain, but I thought that actually adds to the atmosphere. And overall, I just, you know, I'm quite transfixed by this image, and that's why I scored it in the silver range.
Yeah, Vince, since you scored at 90, I'll give you a chance to speak.
Right. First of all, noise is beautiful. I like noise. There's nothing wrong with the noise. What I look also, when I judge, I look for originality. And that picture is quite an original picture. The only problem I saw is a little bit too much highlight in her face. But as a picture, it's just pleasant to watch it. I don't look for story. If this is one of my bridesmaids, flower girl, it's a beautiful shot, an artistic shot of the person. That's all it is. It doesn't have to tell a story. It's just a beautiful picture.
And Annie from 92.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. We've ticked off all the beauty of it, and I love your challenge of making us find something beyond that. And for me, what I see here is the grittiness of the reception floor, the crack that comes from the front right down the middle there, and then also in the background the ugly, you know, kind of used reception wall with all the cracks there. And so that is what makes it real. And the photographer has, you know, seen a silent moment in a crazy wedding and created a beautiful piece of art there out of that. And you couldn't pose her any better than this. You couldn't control the way her head is, and right down to her to the skirt and how you see the legs underneath. And that's what is making it gold for me.
So we had an average score of 83, but as an automatic challenge, you are all given the opportunity to change your score if you wish. Please do so. Print is now a silver distinction, 88. We love having a diverse range of opinions on our panel, so that was excellent. Thank you. Next print, please. This print scores 87, a silver with distinction, and Ryan's right in there. He's going to challenge from gold at 92. What do you got? You got an 88, 86, 85, and 83, Ryan.
Easy. Easy. I won't state the obvious to you because you've all got eyes and you can see. What I see is this design in this photojournalistic moment, which is just really freaky. I'll use a bit of James Simmons. Like, it's a freaky shot. The design of the champagne coming out of that left-hand corner, curving us around, bringing us into the bride. That V that cuts out of that champagne and mimics the body shape, and then that line of bringing us up to the hand and out. I mean, it's a freaky moment, man. And like, all kudos to whoever shot this for just being able to see it, being able to capture it, being able to like execute at a really high level. I get excited when I wish I could take pictures like this. And I wish I could take a picture like this, and that's why, for me, it's gold. It is beautifully done. It's beautifully printed, beautifully handled. Give me an argument that doesn't say it's gold.
Vicky, you are on 83.
I'm totally seduced by the moment, and I wish I was there and enjoying the champagne with them. There's that pop of champagne that we were looking for before. I'm not quite sure. You know, I hear you, Ryan, but I don't know if it's going to exceed the other aspects that we look at in a gold category. I feel like it sits perfectly in the silver range and ticks all the boxes in regards to the silver range. So I'm all ears to hear some more.
Annie, you were next to the average on 88. Oh, you're not Annie. You're in Annie's chair, but you're Katie. You're messing with me.
Yeah, I'm hearing both sides and agreeing with both sides, I suppose. The reason I gave it silver distinction is because of some of the things that Ryan said, but I didn't see it in gold. Yeah, it is pretty freaky, I suppose. I'm just really captivated by the joy and the fun, and I want to be there, except maybe without the champagne on my clothing. I love the treatment of it as well. Yeah, I think it sits really comfortably in silver distinction, but I also appreciate and agree with what Ryan's saying about gold as well.
We'll come back to Ryan for your right of reply.
Yeah, I can hear how we could maybe get seduced into silver with this, only because it's like maybe something that it's expected to be photographed. Like, if this is happening, we photograph it. What's not expected is that design element of it, that line of leading in, that sheer capture. And this is what weddings are about, right? Fun, energy, vibrance. The skill of the photographer to be able to nail an exposure like that, and to be able to, like, even the lighting on the groom, that is like perfect portraiture lighting. Like, we've got everything in this one picture. I see it as a really strong gold because we're looking at something single capture that's not trying to be clever, that's just really well done and masterfully executed. So that's why I'm asking for gold.
Thank you, judges. Our average is 87. Ryan's locked in at 92. Other judges, please enter your scores. Gold at 90. And thank you to Katie and Steve for stepping in there. Next print, please. This print scores 76. Vicky, you were on the average. Can you give us a comment?
I feel like it's so dominated by the environment and the fact that the couple are so blurry. I'm not quite sure the purpose of that. Yes, that was my holdback.
Thank you. Next print, please. This print scores 72. Annie, you were right on that score.
Yeah, I think that there is some sort of moment happening here, but it's hard to kind of see what's going on. It's a bit close in on the crop, and also technically it feels like the tonal range is just not being worked well. So yeah, it could be worked on.
Thanks, Annie. Next print, please. This print scores 78. 3 of our judges were on that score. Milton, let's go to you.
Yeah, I thought this was a really nice moment captured, beautiful expressions, and all the people facing the camera. I just think it needed an extra element to elevate it if it was going to go into the award range.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, Milton. Next print, please. This print scores 78. Vicky, you were on 78.
Look, this is perfect professional practice. I'm looking probably a bit more for some emotive content, a bit more relaxed with posing. It just feels very staged, but beautifully rendered, beautifully captured.
Thank you. We're going to do a judge change. Thank you, Vicky. You can step back for a bit. Katie Collenberg, come back to the panel. Let's have the next print, please. This print scores 81, a silver award. Could I please get a comment from Jovan?
Yeah, I scored this one 83. It's a beautiful, beautiful print. Very well done. The only reason I didn't score higher was the connection of the bride and groom. If it was better, there was more something happening there, it would have scored even higher.
Thanks, Jovan. Next print, please. This print scores 80, silver award. A comment, if I could, from Katie.
Yeah, this is a really well seen, fun wedding image that captures what a wedding reception is like a lot of the time. I think to bring it up any higher, it would have had to have been some extra little bit of decisive moment, like a sneaky bum grab or something like that, just to sort of, draw your attention to something extra in the scene. But otherwise, yeah, I really like it.
Thank you very much, Katie. Next print, please. And I will make mention of our amazing sponsors from the entire awards. We have Olympus, Aon, and Panasonic. They've been huge supporters of the APPAs. We're really grateful to have them. And we have Atkins ProLab as well for the wedding category. All those sponsors have amazing stands outside. Make sure you go and check them out. Get your stickers for the day. They've all got lucky door prizes running. And this print scores 80, Silver Award. Annie, can we hear from you on this one, please?
Yeah, I found that the print was a little bit flat. I would have gone higher if I had seen a bit more contrast and depth in there. The concept and the moment is very interesting.
Thanks, Annie. Next print, please. This print scores 77. And Yervant, you were on that score?
It's a great idea, but my worry is that the focusing is only on a small part of the image. The rest is all out of focus, so it just doesn't happen.
Thank you very much for that. Next print, please. This print scores 77. Katie, can we hear from you, please? You were on 77.
This is obviously a beautiful location, and the photographer's done a great job of using it. I feel that the technique has been used for the sake of using the technique, and it's something that we've seen a lot before. I want to see the reason for it. Yeah.
Thank you. And next print, please. Could we please have a blank screen? We've just got a bit of an IT issue. How good are the print handlers out the back today? Woohoo! Working hard out there. The invisible people that turn those prints around for us. Okay, while we're waiting, Ryan, tell us a bit about yourself. You didn't get to...
Whatever yours. Yeah, we're twins. Yeah, we live in the same world. Yeah. Jovan. I have 4 bars, and I think I've just added the 5th. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And Yervant, tell us about your history. You've been in the industry a little while.
I'm an old person in the industry, but most probably I'm the youngest. I still shoot weddings. I enjoy it even more than before. Like Ryan said, similar clients. We have a really great time with our brides, and it's great.
Oh, wonderful. And thank you for
And
both for being
my
here.
my accent originates from Central Australia.
Central Australia,
Yeah.
yeah, I got that. It's really broad.
Yeah, it's broad, yeah.
I was going to call you a bogan, but no. Milton, we haven't heard from you yet, have we? Let's have a chat. It's just us here.
Hey Mel.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good.
Cool. Like Yvonne, I'm also from Central Australia, as you can tell. All my life. Yeah, it's happening place. Central London. People get confused. They think I'm from London, but no, I'm not. No, originally from London. Moved here about nearly 12 years ago, and I've been shooting weddings for I think 7 years now.
And you're in Sydney now?
I'm in Sydney,
Mm-hmm.
Yep, based in Sydney, but I love coming to APPA. I think on a Sunday there's nothing better to do than to either, if I'm not shooting a wedding, to be judging wedding images. Third option to play golf, but I couldn't say that while I was here.
And we are back. Yes, can we please have the print back? Print handlers. Thanks, guys. Oh, sorry, no, sorry. That one, that's it. And this print scores 79 and will be reviewed at the end of the category. Ryan, you were on 78.
Yeah, I think just to clean this up a little bit, the bride probably shouldn't have had her flowers. They become a bit too clunky in overall in the photograph, and I just think it needs a crop. That strength in the middle is really where our eye's going to. So.
Thanks, Ryan. Next print, please. This print scores 77. And Jovan, a comment from you, please.
It's a pretty picture, but it lacks the communication. I can't understand what's the point of it. Yeah, and all, but I would have liked to see the couple at least being together, you know?
Thanks, Jovan. Next print, please. This print scores 78. Milton's going to challenge. He's on 83. What have we got? We've got a 79, 77, 76 and a 75.
I think this is a really good it's a really good example of a photographer who has, managed to take a bridal party with quite a few people in it and get them all to do something a bit silly. I mean, it does look a bit contrived. It's obviously not natural. But, there's some really funny moments going on, some great expressions. And for me, that bridesmaid in the middle just drinking, swilling straight out of the bottle is the clincher. That little look in her eye is, I think, just makes the whole image. And I think that that itself just elevated the image into the awards category.
Thanks, Milton. Let's go to Ryan, 75.
The danger a little bit of falling into the same traps. I think we'd all agree we've seen pictures like this come up very recently over the last few years, and it's definitely a style or a technique or something that's done. I look for, apart from the comical element of it, what photographically is in award standard, and for me it's just not there. It's in fact parts of it are below professional standard to me. The light on them especially is very, very flat, and then we get to these little pockets of vignettes that are there for no reason other than to attract our attention to something comical. So I'm trying to piece it together photographically here, man, and it's not coming together.
Katie, you were just out of award range on 79.
The technical deficiencies I don't think are really a big deal. It's just it's a reception. They mostly have some lighting issues, and I think the photographers handled it quite well, given what looks like some pretty strong coloured lights in the room. Livestream. I just find it it's too contrived for me, and I find that makes me feel a bit uncomfortable. It's a little bit cringy for me. That's just my honest assessment, and that's why I feel that it can't come up. But if it was more real and it was a bit more spontaneous, then I would be awarding it in terms of the composition and the way that it's been handled.
Milton, your right of reply.
Yeah, I totally get that. It is a contrived moment, and I mentioned that earlier. But I think it still speaks to the skill of the photographer to take this many people and actually be able to direct them and ask them to do something and get them all engaged and, acting out their roles and being able to, sometimes you can do that and it comes out quite messy and, you really can't see people's faces clearly and you can't really make out what they're doing. But I think here, they're all doing something quite distinct, and it's a fun moment. They've got to keep the bridal party engaged and keep the energy going. And I think the photographer has managed to come up with something that has really helped them to have some fun with each other. And like I said, that I really just love that bridesmaid in the middle and just swilling out the bottle. And I think that that really makes the image.
Thanks, Milton, and all our judges. Our average score is 78. Milton has an 83, but everyone else can rescore. Print remains at 78, but we got to have a good chat. It's always nice. Can we please have a blank screen? Because it's now break time. Thank you, guys.